"We need someone who can actually deliver results, not just talk about them," he said, barely glancing up from his phone as he slid the termination papers across the marble conference table. "Frankly, you've been useless to this company's growth trajectory." My name is Xavier Blackwood. I'm 34 years old, and I had just been fired by the man who was about to discover that the revolutionary marketing campaign he was celebrating tonight, the one that had already generated $50 million in pre-orders, was built entirely on systems that only I controlled. What happened next would not only destroy his arrogant smile, but prove that sometimes the most satisfying revenge comes in a beautifully wrapped gift box. The words hit me like ice water, but I kept my expression neutral as I sat across from Cameron Sterling, the new chief marketing officer who'd waltzed into Velvet Dynamics just 8 months ago with his Harvard MBA and his collection of Silicon Valley buzzwords. He'd been hired to revolutionize our brand strategy and optimize our customer acquisition funnel, corporate speak that the board of directors ate up like candy. I had been with Velvet Dynamics for 4 years, since we were just another struggling luxury cosmetics startup operating out of a converted warehouse in downtown Seattle. While other marketing agencies charged us 6-figure retainers to create campaigns that flop spectacularly, I was the one who figured out how to make our products go viral on social media. I was the one who built our entire digital infrastructure from scratch, creating the automated systems that could handle massive traffic spikes when our campaigns took off. Cameron saw my work as primitive, unscalable, lacking in sophisticated analytics. He preferred working with expensive external agencies who spoke his language and produced sleek presentations filled with demographic analyses and engagement optimization strategies. What he didn't understand, what he'd never bothered to learn, was that behind every successful campaign we'd launched was a complex web of proprietary software, custom algorithms, and automated systems that I had personally designed and maintained. The irony wasn't lost on me as I packed my personal items that afternoon. Tonight was our biggest product launch ever, the unveiling of our new Midnight Luxe collection at the Grand Metropolitan Hotel. 500 VIP customers, beauty influencers, and industry executives would be there to witness Cameron's masterpiece campaign in action. He had no idea that his revolutionary marketing technology was about to become completely worthless without the one person he'd just called useless. My journey at Velvet Dynamics began in 2020 when founders Isabella Chen and Marcus Rivera were desperately trying to break into the saturated luxury beauty market. They had incredible products, handcrafted serums and cosmetics using rare botanical ingredients, but zero understanding of digital marketing. Their previous attempts at social media campaigns had been disasters, reaching maybe a few hundred people despite spending thousands on Facebook ads. I came from a failed tech startup where I'd learned to build marketing automation systems from necessity, not choice. When traditional advertising proved too expensive, I taught myself to code custom tracking pixels, create viral content algorithms, and design automated email sequences that could nurture leads for months. Most importantly, I understood something that expensive agencies didn't. Authentic engagement couldn't be manufactured through demographic targeting and A/B tested copy. My breakthrough came 3 months after joining Velvet Dynamics. Instead of following conventional beauty marketing playbooks, I created an entirely different approach. I built custom software that could identify micro-influencers before they became expensive, automated systems that could respond to trending topics in real time, and personalized customer journey maps that adapted based on individual behavior patterns. The results were extraordinary. Our first major campaign, Midnight Beauty Secrets, generated 2.3 million organic video views and $4.7 million in sales over 6 weeks. Beauty industry publications called it marketing genius, but I knew it was really just understanding technology and psychology better than our competitors. I spent the next 3 years systematically building what became our competitive advantage, a completely integrated marketing ecosystem that could launch campaigns, track performance, adjust messaging, identify new opportunities, and scale successful content across multiple platforms simultaneously. Everything was connected through APIs I'd written, databases I'd designed, and automation sequences that required constant fine-tuning. Isabella and Marcus understood what I'd created for them. They'd seen their company grow from $200,000 annual revenue to $47 million by last year, and they knew exactly who was responsible. They gave me equity, creative freedom, and genuine respect for the technical foundation that enabled their success. But when they brought in outside investors for Series B funding, everything changed. The investors wanted professional management and scalable marketing operations. They wanted someone who could speak their language and present strategies in PowerPoint decks filled with industry buzzwords. They wanted Cameron Sterling, who promised to take our primitive systems and transform them into something worthy of a venture-backed company. Cameron Sterling arrived at Velvet Dynamics in January with the kind of credentials that made investors write bigger checks. Stanford MBA, 5 years at Google's marketing division, 2 successful exits from previous startups, and a LinkedIn profile that read like a masterclass in corporate achievement. He wore Tom Ford suits, carried a leather portfolio filled with McKinsey-style frameworks, and spoke fluently about attribution modeling, customer lifetime value optimization, and omni-channel engagement strategies. During his first company meeting, Cameron outlined his vision with the confidence of someone who'd never encountered a problem money couldn't solve. "We're going to completely modernize our marketing infrastructure," he announced, clicking through slides filled with organizational charts and workflow diagrams. "No more ad hoc campaign development. No more relying on individual creativity when we can implement data-driven, repeatable processes." His plan was ambitious and expensive. Every campaign would be developed through external agencies specializing in luxury brand positioning. Customer data would be managed through enterprise-grade CRM platforms that cost more per month than my annual salary. Creative content would be produced by teams of specialists, rather than the scrappy in-house approach that had built our success. Cameron had studied our financial reports, but he'd completely misunderstood what drove our results. He saw our 900% revenue growth over 3 years as proof that Velvet Dynamics had incredible market potential that was being limited by unsophisticated marketing methods. If we could achieve such success with amateur systems, imagine what we could accomplish with proper strategic frameworks and professional execution. What he failed to recognize was that our clients weren't buying cosmetics from a faceless luxury brand. They were buying into a carefully cultivated community that felt personal, authentic, and exclusive. The automated systems I'd built didn't just send marketing messages. They created individualized experiences that made each customer feel discovered and understood. Cameron saw inefficiency where our customers saw authenticity. He saw outdated methods where our customers saw genuine connection. Most dangerously, he saw my technical infrastructure as an obstacle to scale rather than the foundation that made our entire business model possible. Within 3 months, he'd hired a team of marketing specialists with impressive resumes and aggressive timelines. Within 6 months, he was presenting the board with proposals to completely rebuild our customer acquisition strategy using industry best practices and proven methodologies. By month 8, he was ready to eliminate the one person whose work he considered fundamentally incompatible with professional marketing operations. To understand how devastating Cameron's dismissal would become, you need to understand what I'd actually built for Velvet Dynamics during those early days when survival depended on creativity rather than capital. When I joined in 2020, the beauty industry was dominated by massive corporations with unlimited advertising budgets. Sephora, Ulta, and luxury department stores controlled distribution channels. Established brands like Chanel and Dior owned customer mindshare. Breaking through required something traditional marketing agencies couldn't provide: a completely different approach to reaching customers. I spent my first month studying our target demographic obsessively, not through focus groups or market research reports, but by manually analyzing thousands of social media profiles, reading beauty forum discussions, and tracking trending topics across multiple platforms. I discovered that luxury beauty customers weren't just buying products. They were buying transformation stories, insider secrets, and access to exclusive communities. My breakthrough insight was building technology that could create authentic viral moments rather than trying to manufacture them through paid advertising. I developed algorithms that could identify emerging beauty trends days before they exploded, automated systems that could respond to viral content with perfectly timed product placements, and personalized messaging sequences that made each customer feel like they discovered a secret. The Midnight Beauty Secrets campaign became our proof of concept. Instead of traditional advertising, I created a treasure hunt across social media platforms. Customers who found hidden clues in our content unlocked exclusive access to limited edition products, private video tutorials, and personal consultations with celebrity makeup artists. The entire experience was powered by custom software that tracked engagement, adapted difficulty levels, and created scarcity without ever feeling manipulative. The results exceeded every expectation. Beauty influencers started creating content about our mysterious brand without being paid. Customers shared our products organically because finding them felt like joining an exclusive club. Sales exploded through word of mouth rather than advertising spend. Over the next 3 years, I systematically built this approach into a complete marketing ecosystem. Every campaign launched through interconnected systems that could track micro-trends, identify viral opportunities, personalize customer journeys, and scale successful content automatically. Our customer acquisition cost was 73% lower than industry average, while our retention rate was 340% higher. Isabella and Marcus watched their company transform from a struggling startup into a beauty industry phenomenon, and they understood exactly what made it possible. They weren't just buying products from manufacturers and selling them to customers. They were creating experiences that customers desperately wanted to share with others. The changes started subtly, which made them more insidious than direct confrontation. Cameron began holding strategy meetings that I wasn't invited to, making decisions about campaign directions without consulting the person who'd built the systems those campaigns would run on. When I questioned new initiatives, he dismissed my concerns as resistance to innovation and change. My longtime creative partner, Sofia Martinez, was the first to notice the pattern. "He's bringing in outside consultants for everything," she whispered during our coffee break. "McKinsey for strategy, Ogilvy for creative development, Salesforce for customer management. He's systematically replacing everything you've built with expensive corporate solutions." The most frustrating part was watching Cameron take credit for metrics that my systems had generated. During board presentations, he'd showcase our customer engagement rates, viral campaign performance, and revenue growth as evidence of his strategic leadership. He never mentioned the automated infrastructure that made those results possible, presenting everything as the natural outcome of professional marketing management. Then came the team restructuring. Cameron hired Brandon Mills, a 26-year-old digital strategist, from a major advertising agency who specialized in performance marketing optimization. Brandon had impressive credentials and spoke fluently about programmatic advertising, attribution modeling, and conversion funnel analysis. But he'd never built anything from scratch. He'd only managed campaigns using existing platforms and frameworks. During team meetings, Cameron consistently deferred to Brandon's input on technical decisions. Brandon suggested migrating all our customer data to HubSpot, rebuilding our automation sequences through Marketo, and replacing our custom content management system with enterprise solutions that cost $50,000 per month. All reasonable suggestions from someone who didn't understand the competitive advantages our current architecture provided. I started documenting everything obsessively. Every custom algorithm, every integration point, every automated workflow that kept our campaigns running smoothly. I backed up critical code repositories to personal drives and created detailed technical documentation that explained not just how systems worked, but why certain decisions had been made and what problems they solved. When Cameron announced our biggest product launch ever, the Midnight Luxe collection, he assigned Brandon to lead the campaign development. I was relegated to technical support, responsible for maintaining existing systems while the real strategists handled innovation and growth. The irony was perfect. Cameron wanted to prove that professional marketing management could achieve better results than my amateur approach. He was planning to use my own infrastructure to demonstrate how much more effective his team could be without my direct involvement. What he didn't realize was that the systems he was depending on required constant optimization, manual intervention during high-traffic events, and deep understanding of how each component interacted with others. Without that knowledge, his revolutionary campaign would become a very expensive demonstration of why technical expertise matters more than marketing credentials. The email arrived on a Wednesday morning at 9:23 a.m. with the subject line, Organizational Restructuring. Immediate action required. I opened it expecting another announcement about workflow changes or new team responsibilities. Instead, I found my termination notice disguised as corporate efficiency optimization. As part of our strategic initiative to streamline operations and enhance scalability, we will be implementing personnel adjustments to better align with our growth objectives. Your position has been eliminated effective immediately. Please coordinate with human resources regarding transition procedures and final compensation arrangements. 4 years of building their entire marketing infrastructure from scratch, and I got the same form letter they'd send to an intern who'd worked there 4 weeks. No phone call from Cameron, no meeting to discuss transition plans, no acknowledgement of the technical foundation that powered every successful campaign they'd ever launched. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 15 minutes, rereading the email and trying to process what had just happened. The timing was deliberately calculated. Cameron had waited until 3 days before our biggest product launch to eliminate me, ensuring I couldn't cause problems but also couldn't be part of the success he was planning to claim credit for. But there was something Cameron didn't know. Something he'd overlooked in his rush to prove that professional marketing management didn't need technical expertise. When I'd originally built our marketing automation systems, I'd retained administrative access to all critical infrastructure. Standard practice for freelance developers, but something I'd never transferred when becoming a full-time employee. That meant the customer database that contained 4 years of behavioral data belonged to me. The automated email sequences that generated 60% of our revenue ran on servers I controlled. The viral content algorithms that identified trending opportunities were powered by APIs that required my personal authentication keys. The real-time analytics dashboards that Cameron used to impress investors pulled data through integrations I'd built and maintained. Cameron thought he was eliminating an outdated employee who couldn't adapt to sophisticated marketing operations. Actually, he'd just fired the one person who controlled the technological foundation of his empire. The Midnight Lux launch was scheduled for Friday night at the Grand Metropolitan Hotel. 500 VIP customers, beauty influencers, and industry executives would attend the unveiling. Cameron had spent weeks preparing his presentation about revolutionary marketing innovation and data-driven customer engagement. He'd promised investors that this launch would demonstrate how professional management could achieve results that my primitive methods never could. I spent the rest of Wednesday and Thursday preparing my own contribution to Cameron's celebration. Not revenge exactly, just a gift that would help him understand exactly what he'd thrown away when he decided my work was useless to the company's growth trajectory. Friday night, I put on my best suit and drove to the hotel. I had something special to deliver to the man who was about to discover the difference between managing marketing campaigns and actually building the technology that makes them possible. That evening, I sat in my home office and opened my laptop to review exactly what Cameron had just lost access to. The scope of his oversight was staggering. 4 years of technical infrastructure that he'd never bothered to understand, let alone prepare to manage without me. The customer engagement system that powered our viral campaigns wasn't just software. It was a complex ecosystem of interconnected algorithms that I'd built and continuously refined. Every viral moment, every perfectly timed product launch, every personalized customer journey was powered by machine learning models that required constant optimization based on real-time behavior patterns. Cameron didn't realize that our simple email marketing system was actually a sophisticated predictive engine that analyzed customer purchase history, social media activity, and browsing patterns to determine optimal messaging timing, content personalization, and offer structuring. The automation sequences that generated millions in revenue weren't templates from a marketing platform. They were custom-coded workflows that adapted dynamically to individual customer psychology. Most critically, our entire customer database existed on cloud servers that I'd configured using my personal AWS account. When budget was tight during our startup phase, Isabella and Marcus had been grateful that I'd covered infrastructure costs personally. They'd promised to migrate everything to company accounts eventually, but that migration had never happened. Cameron's team was managing campaigns through dashboards and interfaces that pulled data from systems I legally owned and controlled. The beauty of my situation was that Cameron had publicly committed to proving that professional marketing management could achieve better results than my approach. He'd spent weeks telling investors, board members, and industry contacts that the Midnight Lux launch would demonstrate the power of sophisticated strategy over technical improvisation. Friday night's launch event would feature live demonstrations of our marketing technology, real-time analytics showing customer engagement, and automated systems processing orders from hundreds of VIP attendees. Cameron had planned everything perfectly, except he'd never verified that he could actually access the systems he was planning to showcase. I spent Thursday creating what I decided to call my Transition Assistance Package, a small flash drive containing administrator passwords, API documentation, and access credentials for every system that powered Velvet Dynamics marketing operations. Everything Cameron would need to maintain the infrastructure he'd just inherited, wrapped in a beautiful gift box with a note explaining exactly what he'd received. The irony was perfect. Cameron wanted to celebrate his liberation from employees who couldn't adapt to professional marketing operations. Instead, he was about to discover that professional marketing operations without technical expertise was just expensive PowerPoint presentations. I'd built something that couldn't be replicated through corporate frameworks or industry best practices. Cameron was about to learn that lesson in front of the most important audience of his career. Friday morning, I drove to the upscale shopping district downtown and purchased the most elegant gift box I could find. Midnight black with silver trim, exactly matching the Midnight Lux collection branding. Inside, I placed a custom flash drive I'd had engraved with the Velvet Dynamics logo and a simple message: Administrative Access, Marketing Infrastructure. The flash drive contained everything Cameron would need to maintain operational control over our marketing systems: root passwords for all servers, API keys for third-party integrations, database access credentials, and detailed documentation explaining how each system component functioned. It was genuinely helpful, assuming he had the technical expertise to understand and implement any of it. I also prepared a handwritten note on premium card stock. Cameron, congratulations on your successful restructuring initiative. This contains everything you need to manage our marketing infrastructure independently. I'm confident your professional management approach will achieve better results than my outdated methods ever could. Xavier. The beauty of my plan was its complete honesty. I wasn't sabotaging anything or creating malicious surprises. I was simply giving Cameron exactly what he'd claimed he wanted: full control over marketing operations without dependence on employees whose approaches didn't align with professional standards. What made it perfect was timing. The Midnight Lux launch event would begin at 7 p.m. with cocktails and networking, followed by Cameron's presentation at 8:30 p.m. featuring live demonstrations of our marketing technology. 500 attendees would witness real-time customer engagement metrics, automated campaign optimization, and seamless order processing, assuming those systems continued functioning properly. I'd designed our infrastructure to require manual intervention during high-traffic events. Automated systems could handle normal daily operations, but product launches generated traffic spikes that triggered safety protocols requiring administrator approval. Without proper authentication, those systems would default to protective shutdown mode rather than risk database corruption or security breaches. Cameron's team had been managing campaigns through user-friendly dashboards that showed results and analytics, but they'd never needed administrative access to underlying infrastructure. They could create content, schedule posts, and review performance reports, but they couldn't approve high-traffic operations or modify system parameters. The launch event would generate the highest traffic volume in company history. Hundreds of VIP customers would simultaneously access our website, engage with social media campaigns, and process orders through automated systems. Everything would work perfectly until traffic exceeded normal thresholds, at which point the infrastructure would require administrative intervention that only I could provide. Unless, of course, Cameron used the gift I was planning to deliver during his moment of triumph. The Grand Metropolitan Hotel ballroom buzzed with energy when I walked through the entrance at 7:45 p.m. 500 people in designer outfits held champagne glasses while examining Midnight Lux product displays arranged throughout the space. Beauty influencers with millions of followers posed for photos with celebrity makeup artists. Industry executives clustered around high-top tables discussing market trends and acquisition opportunities. I hadn't been invited, but I still had my company access credentials, and security recognized me from 4 years of attending Velvet Dynamics events. Nobody questioned my presence. They assumed someone had forgotten to remove my name from the guest list after Wednesday's organizational restructuring. The main presentation area featured massive screens displaying real-time social media engagement, customer analytics, and order processing metrics. Everything looked flawless. Our marketing systems were handling the initial event traffic smoothly. Automated campaigns were generating buzz across multiple platforms, and the sophisticated dashboards Cameron loved were showing impressive performance indicators. Cameron stood near the presentation stage wearing a charcoal Tom Ford suit, radiating confidence as he networked with investors and industry contacts. He looked exactly like a successful marketing executive should: polished, articulate, completely in command of his domain. Several board members surrounded him, clearly impressed by the early event metrics showing strong customer response. "Ladies and gentlemen," Cameron's voice echoed through the sound system as he took the stage at 8:30 p.m. sharp. "Tonight represents more than just a product launch. Tonight demonstrates how strategic marketing excellence can transform a promising brand into an industry leader." The crowd applauded politely while I positioned myself near the back of the room where Cameron could see me if he looked in my direction. Behind him, live displays showed our platform processing hundreds of customer interactions, social media engagement climbing steadily, and automated systems seamlessly managing the complex logistics of a major product launch. "Velvet Dynamics has achieved remarkable growth over the past 4 years," Cameron continued, his confidence building as he found his rhythm. "But sustainable success requires evolving beyond improvised solutions toward sophisticated, scalable marketing operations." I watched him gesture toward the impressive displays, taking credit for infrastructure he'd inherited and technology he'd never bothered to understand. Several attendees were recording his presentation on their phones, capturing what they assumed would be a masterclass in modern marketing strategy. "This launch represents our commitment to professional excellence," Cameron declared, his voice gaining strength. "We've moved beyond the limitations of amateur approaches and embraced proven methodologies that deliver consistent, measurable results." More applause, this time with genuine enthusiasm. The audience was witnessing what appeared to be a perfectly executed product launch powered by cutting-edge marketing technology. Cameron's vision of professional management seemed to be working exactly as promised. But I was watching something Cameron couldn't see: traffic metrics approaching the thresholds that would trigger administrative approval requirements. In approximately 10 minutes, our systems would require manual intervention to handle the volume generated by a successful event. It was time to deliver my gift. I walked directly toward the presentation stage, maintaining steady eye contact with Cameron as he continued his speech about professional marketing excellence. The audience began to notice someone approaching the speaker. Conversations quieted, and photographers positioned themselves to capture whatever was about to happen. Cameron finally saw me moving through the crowd and paused mid-sentence, his confident expression shifting to obvious displeasure. He hadn't expected me to appear at this event, especially not after terminating me just 2 days earlier. But backing down now would make him look weak in front of investors and industry leaders. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said loudly enough for my voice to carry through the room, "I apologize for interrupting such an impressive presentation." The crowd turned their attention toward me, conversation stopping as everyone focused on whatever drama was about to unfold. "My name is Xavier Blackwood," I continued, pulling the elegant gift box from my jacket. "Mr. Sterling was just discussing the evolution beyond amateur approaches, and I wanted to personally congratulate him on his vision for professional marketing operations." Cameron stared at me with barely concealed irritation, clearly wondering what I was planning but unable to refuse a public gift without appearing petty in front of his audience. "Xavier," he said into his microphone, forcing a diplomatic smile, "how thoughtful of you to attend our celebration. I was so inspired by your commitment to independence from outdated methods," I replied, holding up the gift box, "that I brought you something to commemorate this historic moment. a token of appreciation for your innovative leadership. The audience watched with fascination. This kind of personal interaction wasn't typical at corporate product launches, but it was certainly more entertaining than standard business presentations. Several people had started recording, and industry journalists were taking notes about the unexpected drama. Cameron hesitated, clearly uncomfortable but trapped by his own ego. Refusing the gift would make him look small-minded, but accepting it meant dealing with whatever surprise I'd prepared. His need to appear magnanimous in front of investors ultimately decided the issue. "Well," he said, stepping down from the stage to meet me, "that's very generous of you." I handed him the box with a smile. "From the person you called useless. May it serve you well in your professional management endeavors." He took the gift while the audience leaned forward to see what was inside. Several photographers captured the moment as Cameron opened the elegant black box, his confident expression immediately changing when he saw the flash drive and accompanying note. "What is this?" he asked quietly, his voice not carrying to the audience. "Everything you need to maintain our marketing infrastructure independently," I replied clearly enough for nearby attendees to hear. "All the administrative access credentials for the systems powering tonight's successful launch." Behind us, the first display screen flickered and went dark, then another. Within seconds, the real-time analytics dashboards that had been showcasing our marketing excellence were showing error messages instead of performance metrics. Cameron looked back at the failing displays, then at the flash drive in his hands, then at me. Understanding began to dawn as he realized what was happening. "Welcome to professional marketing management," I said, as the room descended into controlled chaos. The Grand Metropolitan Hotel ballroom transformed into a crisis management center within minutes. The massive displays that had been showcasing our marketing excellence now showed nothing but error messages and loading screens. Tablets and laptops throughout the room lost connection to our customer engagement platforms. Automated systems stopped processing orders, and the sophisticated analytics that Cameron had been celebrating simply disappeared. Cameron stood frozen, holding the flash drive like it might explode while technicians rushed to diagnose what appeared to be a complete system failure. Behind him, Brandon Mills frantically tried to restart displays and restore connections, but nothing responded to his attempts. The infrastructure was locked down, waiting for administrative authentication that only I could provide. "What did you do?" Cameron whispered, his voice barely audible over the growing murmur of confused conversations throughout the ballroom. "I gave you exactly what you asked for," I replied calmly. "Complete independence from employees whose methods don't align with professional standards. Now you can demonstrate how much better your marketing operations work without outdated approaches holding you back." The audience was beginning to understand that something serious had gone wrong. VIP customers pulled out their phones to check the Velvet Dynamics website, only to find error pages where product information should be. Beauty influencers tried accessing their affiliate dashboards and found system maintenance messages. Industry executives gathered their materials and started heading toward the exits. Isabella Chen appeared at Cameron's side, looking panicked as she surveyed the failing displays. "What's happening to our systems?" she demanded. "We've got 500 people here expecting to place orders, and everything's offline." Cameron's hands shook slightly as he held up the flash drive. "Xavier left us these access credentials, but I don't know how to implement them." "Then call him and ask for help," Isabella said urgently. "He just quit," Cameron replied, his voice cracking slightly. "I mean, we terminated his position on Wednesday." I watched Isabella's face as the full scope of their situation became clear. She understood technology well enough to know that marketing platforms didn't just randomly fail during high-traffic events. This was a controlled shutdown triggered by security protocols, and the person who could resolve it was standing 3 feet away from her former CMO. "The administrative credentials are right there in your hands," I told Cameron conversationally. "Everything you need to restore full functionality and demonstrate your professional management capabilities to this impressive audience." "I don't know how to use these," he admitted, his confident facade completely crumbling. "Then perhaps you should have learned something about the infrastructure you were managing before eliminating the person who built it," I replied. The room was emptying rapidly now. Beauty influencers were posting about the technical difficulties, at Velvet Dynamics launch event. Industry executives were having quiet conversations about the company's operational competence. VIP customers who had planned to spend thousands on exclusive products were leaving with nothing but stories about a spectacular marketing failure. By 10 p.m., the event that was supposed to showcase Cameron's vision for professional marketing excellence had become a case study in what happens when management eliminates technical expertise without understanding what they're actually managing. Isabella approached me directly. "Xavier, whatever happened here, we need to fix it immediately. What would it take to restore our systems?" I smiled, remembering Cameron's words about moving beyond limitations and embracing professional excellence. "I think that's a conversation for Monday morning," I said, assuming the board wants to reconsider their approach to valuing technical contributions. Monday morning brought a series of phone calls that told the complete story of Cameron's professional marketing management in action. Beauty industry publications ran articles about Velvet Dynamics' spectacular launch failure, complete with photos of confused VIP customers and screenshots of error messages where product information should have been. Our company's social media mentions had exploded overnight, but not in the way Cameron had intended. Isabella called me at 8 a.m., her voice carefully controlled but obviously desperate. "Xavier, we need to talk immediately. The board is meeting this afternoon to discuss what happened Friday night, and we need our systems operational before we lose any more contracts." I arrived at the Velvet Dynamics office to find Cameron's expensive marketing consultants packing their equipment and terminating their contracts. Without functional analytics platforms, automated campaign management, or customer engagement systems, their sophisticated strategies were just colorful PowerPoint presentations. Brandon Mills sat at his desk staring helplessly at error messages, finally understanding that enterprise marketing platforms were useless without the technical infrastructure to support them. The board meeting was brief and decisive. Cameron Sterling's 8-month tenure as Chief Marketing Officer had culminated in a public demonstration that professional management credentials meant nothing without understanding the technology that powered modern marketing operations. He was offered a graceful resignation opportunity, which he accepted immediately. Isabella presented me with a different kind of offer: Chief Technology Officer with equity that made me a partial owner of the infrastructure I'd created, plus authority over all technical hiring and system architecture decisions. More importantly, I would have final approval over any marketing initiatives that depended on the technological foundation I'd built. I accepted with one condition: the marketing team would continue using sophisticated analytics and strategic frameworks, but they would do so with genuine respect for the technical expertise that made those tools possible. Brandon Mills and the other recent hires could prove their value by learning to work collaboratively rather than assuming that expensive credentials automatically translated to operational competence. I restored our systems Tuesday morning with a few keystrokes and administrator passwords. Our customer engagement platforms came back online smoothly, automated campaigns resumed their sophisticated targeting algorithms, and the real-time analytics that investors loved returned to their impressive performance displays. Within a week, we'd recovered most of the contracts we'd lost during the launch failure. Cameron found a position with a traditional advertising agency in New York, where his strategic planning skills and MBA credentials were more valuable than technical system management capabilities. I heard he was doing well in an environment that better matched his professional background. 6 months later, Velvet Dynamics completed our Series C funding round at a valuation 40% higher than projected. Investors were impressed not just by our financial performance, but by our demonstration that the company had learned to value both strategic vision and technical execution equally. Sometimes the best revenge is simply giving someone exactly what they claim they want, then watching them discover why the person they dismissed was actually essential to everything they thought they could manage independently.